know. I think we need to.
Okay, we've started.
I like it when we said it.
Yeah.
But.
It's just different stuff.
And then the cameras, right?
Yes, it's that plan. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Stacy, we're recording.
Hi, everybody. We're gonna get started. This is our new owner meeting, and I want to welcome all of you here and all of you to Tamaron. I'm very excited to see you. Can we start with introductions? Your name, where you're from, which unit number you bought?
Rick and Sherry Jones from Dallas, Texas, and we bought 729.
Okay, welcome, Rick and Sherry.
Greg Stone, Lisa Trustin. We on Tuesday bought 703. And we're from Mill Valley, California.
Welcome to you.
I'm actually not a new owner, but I've never been into an in-person meeting before. So I'm Dee. I own Lodge 213.
Hi, Dee. Welcome. You don't have to be a new owner, but we're glad to see you. We like
Because
it when
Rick
people
is
are coming.
not a new owner.
Yeah,
Rick is
you
a
in the
long-time
background.
owner.
581, 582.
And folks in the audience, when you do speak, you're gonna have to speak up so the mics can pick up. I know everybody likes to sit at the back. This is like being in church. You know, everybody went to, I always sat for side. Yeah, or school, yeah.
Okay, and I see Laura. Laura, I'm sorry, your last name is kind of blurry to me.
My last name is Argotsinger, Laura Argotsinger. My husband, Chris, and I just bought 208 earlier this year, and we reside in Farmington.
Oh, good. Well, welcome. It's nice to have all of you here. We can go around and do our introductions. You probably know Gary, but we'll start with you, Gary.
They've already had to put up with me. Gary Prisby, I'm owner relations here. I live down in Gamble Oak, down in 775.
And how long have you been on staff at Tamaron?
12 years on staff, 25 years owning a unit, 20 years living here.
He knows a lot of information.
And
Joe
he'll tell
knows
you,
more.
he'll tell you all of it.
I'll tell you all of it too.
And Elisa,
I'm Lisa Oliger. I'm the business manager. You'll get your bills from me. I have done the work for Tamaron for 20 years, but I've been on staff for 4 now. Since 2020,
That's 4 years.
and I don't own a condo.
Greg Collins, board member.
Joe Carey, board member, treasurer. My place is in Pine Cone 843.
Stacy Lanius, I'm president of the board. I'm in High Point. We have 58788 and we have 589. Home is divided between Plano, Texas and here. My husband and I are both still working, so we try to get here as often as possible, more and more every year.
I'm Mark Peliza. I have been a resident at Cameron for about 5 years, board member. I'm going into my 3rd year. Tomorrow. Live at 723. I'm a semi-retired person and probably less retired than I'd love to be. Anyway, we could talk about that on.
I am Cheryl Tahar. I am selling 46417. I started at the lodge and loved the property so much. Now we've just bought over at High Point 602-603, which we just remodeled. I am on board for just a short period of time. I replaced Mr. Liebling because he has retired from the board and staying on as our secretary. And if the vote goes today, then I will continue to be on the board. Otherwise, I will just be a resident like you guys. But love the property, love everybody that I work with on the board. It's a wonderful environment.
Actually, the election is tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow's
Yeah.
election, if I make it through tomorrow.
Yuri and I voted for you.
Thank you.
Well, I am John Niebling and I am the secretary of the board. I was on the board a long time and
Sorry.
decided to Yeah, come on over, Andy.
So I'm like,
Five.
Phil, I'm Texas Thompson.
Yeah.
Nice having you.
Thank you. You demerit for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I resigned as a voting member of the board, but I've been secretary a long time. And so I volunteered, and they agreed to keep me on as secretary for as long as it was useful and helpful, and I presume at some point there will be a new secretary. And I live in Pine Cone. We bought here in 05, so we've been here about 20 years. And who are you?
Was it my turn?
Yes.
Oh, let me hang on a minute. Andy Laudermilk, I'm from Austin, Texas. Debbie and I bought up here about 4 years ago. Live in Pine Cone. I've been involved with the board for a little over a year, I guess. And I will be coming off the board tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. Welcome.
I think I'll give you a couple of very brief updates of what what the property is working on right now. And then I'll just open up for any questions you have. You may have noticed we are replacing all of the roofs on property. That project's going very well. Our other roofs were kind of an average of 25 years old and at their useful life. We also have had to reline sewer lines in the lodge. That was a big project. They were cast iron and were aging out. And we are going to be doing some exploratory cameras down the pipes of the outlying complexes to determine their status, maintenance that we could do to extend the life, and just take a look underground and see what's there. No problems yet though with those. They're not indicating that we're due for anything urgently. A lot of our doors have the Onity card key system. You guys may have used Onity card keys. That system is aging out and a lot of the locks are starting to break and they cannot be replaced anymore. So the timing of that coincides with a budget effort that we're making to close the front desk portion of our business operations. When, over the years, at one point we were a hotel and check in, check out, but now all of our units are privately owned. And if anybody does participate in short-term rentals, they have a property manager, they coordinate that through. Tamron doesn't run a rental program, but having that front desk and card keys and check in and check out sort of gives that impression. And as some of you have experienced, mortgage lenders, it confuses them in whether we're a condotel or not. And so we are upgrading all locks on the property to get away from the aging Onity system. We are also, it's been a big year. We are upgrading our fire safety system from the smoke alarms, smoke detectors in units to all the electrical work required for the fire alarms to dial out to the fire department directly. Currently, it goes to a panel that is monitored 24/7, and then we call the fire department. So we're upgrading over the next 3 or 4 years all of that equipment. So the property has a lot of infrastructure type upgrades going on. We're also at the same time experiencing upgrades to our policies and the structures around them. And so it's been a huge year on the board. But we've got a really great board, a lot of different backgrounds coming together, and it's going well. So that's sort of in a nutshell what's happening with the property, and I wanted to find out if you guys have any questions.
I got a couple.
So, so on the Fannie Freddie, so what's left to do other than changing out this lock system to get away from the hotel concept? Are there any other documents that need to be filed to be approved for Fannie and Freddie?
We're
I
Scott.
can
Our
speak to
expert.
this.
Where's
Scott is
Scott?
actually our
Where's our
expert, but I'm
I
going
do.
through it with my units.
Uh-huh.
And I talked to Scott and length about it over the weekend. At one time, Scott got us approved so that we were we were able to be on Fannie and Freddie, but right now, until we have the proof that the front locks have been changed, then he can submit again
Okay,
and then try and get it so we're warrantable. But at this moment, until all the locks are changed out and he can do the submitting, he will actually, and he's a board member who's just not present, but he'll be at the next meeting. He will submit all of that so that we can try and be a warrantable property. But that's the holdup with that is that, and just, so you know, I don't know if you're using Julie in town, but Julie in town is able to get, she works with this property, she's able to, and Elisa can tell you, she's able to get those loans through and get, it's a conventional loan that you usually have to do because we are not on the other FHA or VHA for warrantable.
Right.
So, but Julie Malone is her name in town. Julie Malone, right? So, but it will take, it's a process. So once the locks are installed, then Scott will start working on the process. I'd say early 2025 would be when that would actually happen.
and then, it was mentioned or I read or something that we needed a physical phone in our unit, a landline phone. I'm not sure what that was, but
And you heard that from me. It's not required, so I'll say that up front. But if we need to get in touch with you, the easiest way to do that is for me to pick up my phone and dial 8729. And that will call your unit phone. If we don't have that, then I've got to open up the database, find your cell phone number, call it, hope that you have cell phone service, et cetera, et cetera. And in the case of any kind of emergency, that just takes extra time.
So are these, so if I put a landline in there and I just forward it to my cell phone?
You
can
have a
do-
landline.
Yeah,
You have,
You already have the
The
landline.
landline's already tied in.
yeah, you're
Yes.
Oh,
paying
yeah.
for it whether you like it or not.
All right.
So we just need to put a.
All you need to do is plug in a phone into the jack and you're connected.
Okay, all right.
And your phone number is 970-375-8 and whatever your unit number is.
Okay, all right. And then who do I contact about like some of the windows on the backside or the seals are broke, they're all foggy? Who do I contact? Is that Gary or, all right,
Let me just,
You talking about the windows have moisture in the
Yeah.
envelope? Yeah, Gary.
and then, yesterday I was under my unit. And I noticed all the ductwork is not insulated. Is that something the HOA will allow us to insulate? So we have better efficiency, or is that just? how it's-
Forced area.
Ductwork?
all the ductwork?
You mean for your HVAC?
Yeah. It's
All of that is contained in your subfloor. Any ductwork,
It's all
There's
underneath
some
the house.
is there some? In what complex?
Gamble Oaks.
Where?
All Gamble Oaks is underneath the house.
It's gone.
Really? Interesting.
That's something that Bobby, I'm the architectural chair. That's something Bobby and I can look at with you. And if it's something that you wanted to do, then we can talk about it. I might have to bring it to the board for approval. We're trying to streamline some of the art requests for things that are standardized, like that type of thing. But right now, it would probably just be a request that would have to be asked, and as long as the board approved, it'd be fine.
And I'm not
Should
sure.
we know that
kind of-
that's not pre-insulated ductwork for
We
the
have to, that's
insulation
like
that's on
Bobby
the
and I have
inside?
to look, yeah.
I would assume it is.
I've walked under a lot of the buildings, but I'm not sure.
And by the way, thanks for asking before you did it. Trust me, we often discover that owners have taken things in their own hands, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. So it's always better to.
Well, I have one of those in my unit already. Because I guess my question would be is that if we insulated it, what product would we use? Because most insulation is gonna be susceptible
To the weather.
well, weather and rodents and everything.
Right,
So,
and-
you know, to try to be.
And that's why if you put a request into Bobby and I, Bobby's the director of maintenance, then we
Okay.
can look at that and then we can see if the board needs to approve it or what we can do with that. So that'd be perfect.
And then on the road
And,
notice,
excuse me one second, let me add one thing. Part of the reason we want to make sure that owners don't go ahead and do things like this is underneath the buildings, we have a lot of infrastructure.
oh yeah,
There's coaxial cable, there's
Yeah.
fiber, there's all kinds of stuff underneath there. And we don't want people touching that.
There's gas lines.
Yes, there's all kinds of stuff. So,
and then, you know, I saw your notice for the roofs and gallows. Yes, for real estate. So how much lead time do we get? Like, say, we're gonna be gone for a period of time, so if they get ahead of schedule or behind schedule or whatever, you know, I've heard a lot of stories about, you know, dust or damage and the units and roofs come off. So we want to make sure we cover our furniture at least. So-
generally speaking, we'll get a couple of weeks' notice. Now, what happened this time was my building from 775 up to 783 wasn't supposed to be done for at least another week to 10 days.
Right.
But Ross got another crew on that he's really excited about. And so while the original crew is now laying the metal panels in the building to the south of me, he got this crew started on my building right away, because otherwise he was gonna lose them. So this was a bit of an oddity. The schedule for buildings is a bit of a moving target,
Right.
but we try to keep on top of that. We're batting about 500 on that.
As soon as we know, we communicate it.
That's all we can ask.
And there was some dust for me, when I went in my unit and it had been done, I just thought, oh, you know, I must not have been here for a while, I need to dust. But it wasn't like a total wipeout or anything.
Okay.
Now, that's just my experience. But I think some people are perhaps, you know, more particular housekeepers than I might be. But I did not notice that, I didn't feel in any way that my whole unit had been wiped out.
And they just did mine, they just did my unit 2 days ago, and I had the same experience. I didn't even notice that there was much dust around until I opened up this computer. I go,
Yeah, we're.
what is that?
Yeah, we're a couple guys here.
Yeah.
I did not notice a lot either when they did the lodge nor when they did High Point, so.
Rick?
I would cover your stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's gonna be weather dependent.
Right.
I'm in the same building as Stacy. I didn't want to sit on my furniture when I went back. Okay, mine was extremely dirty. Okay, there was no damage. It just took me 5.5 hours to vacuum.
And then. my
I
last
turned the video off.
I beg your pardon?
It was 5:20.
iPhone 520, can you please identify yourself?
And they're muted right now.
Well, they have to unmute themselves.
Right. Sometimes folks don't realize that. I've been guilty of that myself. There we go. There we are.
Who is that?
It's me, Deborah.
Deborah Vasquez, 320.
Okay, all right. Thank you. We're gonna mute you now.
Okay, thank you.
So
Okay.
my last question, and Gary gave me some insight. So we're gonna remodel. And between the time we had our inspection done and the time we moved in a couple days ago, there's a little bit of a water front in the common space, the common pipes above us. And, you know, I poked a little knife in there and the sheetrock's kind of firm back up, but the paint sagged down, so there's water damage. Now, that could be the pipes, that could have been somebody upstairs overflowing something, you know, there's a lot of variables. But, you know, with that cast iron pipe running the length of our units, you know, I don't want to spend all this money and remodel and then cast iron giveaway. And then, you know, I guess that's on the HOA as far as the pipes. But if we're looking at the damage that it causes to the unit below, you know, my insurance company's gonna pay for that. But then I would imagine in this day and age, with insurance is what it is. My insurance company's gonna go after the HOA is gonna write them a check, and we're all gonna spend more money if we have to. Has there any, you know, thing done in the past where the homeowner comes to the HOA and says, hey, we're gonna remodel, it's all gonna be opened up, let's figure this out between ourselves and save all the money of all the damage and just address it head on while we got it opened up? Is that, I'm not used to the HOA thing, so that's my.
Some of the remodels I've observed where they've gone into the shoe pocket, opened up. I don't think that I know one instance where they didn't at the same time just go ahead and replace the pipes.
But I guess,
Cast iron's chronic here.
yeah, but I guess my problem is that all that stuff's above me. It's not my pipe. It's your pipe and it's the people above me. All my stuff's below me. So I'm.
Not necessarily.
What's that?
Not
And
necessarily.
Gary, what's
Oh, really?
you can explain how that works with the pipe with the joined and
Yeah.
the independent, please.
Basically, the stuff for you, that pipe most of that pipe that's in your ceiling, the floor of 730, that belongs to Taco.
Okay,
Most of it. I'm not gonna say all of it. You gotta open the thing up and actually find the delineation.
right.
And what we've done in the past, and I don't know if we can still do this, is when people are gonna remodel, we strongly urge that they replace it with PVC.
Right.
Once you open it up, we can get a quote on how much it's gonna cost to replace all of this. And then you guys can argue about who's gonna pay how much.
Right.
Because I think we may have mentioned this, Taco doesn't want to pay for a preemptive strike on something that isn't damaged right now.
Right.
If it were damaged, yeah, we would go ahead and do it. But just because somebody wants it replaced so that it doesn't leak in the future, it's not in the budget right now.
I would say that this would be a maintenance request that you should put in. If you've got a leak in the ceiling, there's a maintenance on the website so that Bobby and his team can look at it because it's something that needs to be addressed, obviously, because we don't want any more water damage. And then they will go from there because that's why we
Now,
have them on
I
property.
did go down to maintenance, they did come down, they looked at it, they went upstairs, and they looked at the unit up there, it was vacant at the time. And so we really couldn't come up without cutting the hole where the leak is.
Right.
We can't tell how fresh it is, we know it was in the last 60 days. So we're kind of stuck with that at the moment. But I guess if we have this pipe, you know, let's say we go to remodel, we open it up and there's a crack or it's obvious that it's your pipe. How long is it gonna take me to get approval from the board to fix that? Because I'm under construction at that point, then I'm gonna stop all the contractors at that point to fix.
I think we're gonna address it before you start. Your remodel process, you would have to go through and do all the documents and have everything approved by the board.
Right.
So I'd say that that's another thing, kind of like the insulation. It's a Bobby and I situation where we look at that problem and address that now. Because we're not going to get it done in a time frame where you're going to be approved to start remodeling, so we can at least isolate that. We need to just make sure we isolate that and don't have any water damage in your unit.
And if you've made that part of the discussion, you know, if you do your ARC request for your total remodel and you have worked with maintenance and addressing if there is this issue, it would all be considered at the same time. It wouldn't be separate.
Okay, so I meet with my contractors, we decide we're gonna go with, you know, brand X. From the time we decide with them to decide, they submit the plans to the board to approve. How long does it take the board to get back to the contractor and us?
It's the next board meeting, the next scheduled board meeting is when we would do our next ARC request.
And how often are those?
No, from now to the next one is November.
Yeah, our next meeting is in November.
And then the next one after that would be in late January, early February.
What date in November?
that hasn't been established yet. It'll be established tomorrow.
That's why I said we definitely need to look at the problem that's with the water, because we don't want that to go ongoing. But the process, even you'll find, even working with the contractors here,
For an
it's gonna
interior
take them a bit to
remodel,
get everything.
Nope.
Interior remodeling is an request.
If it invades on common areas.
Or if it requires permits.
Yeah, it's.
Well, but if we're not gonna, I guess that's the thing after reading all this stuff, is that we're doing an interior design. We're not changing outside windows. We're not changing anything into taco space. Except
The common.
potentially, if we take out that sheetrock, then I'm in your world.
The way that our policy reads now, and it's very interesting because we're gonna be discussing this at length in the board meeting. The way the ARC policy reads now is interior remodels, if they require permits or any specialty work. Anything more than tiling, painting, carpet, that kind of thing, they require approval. And, but this active leak is a maintenance matter.
Right.
It can be addressed before your remodel. Now, they might have to open something up.
Right.
But this is a maintenance request that I think needs to be tended to.
I don't know.
And then that would take
Why
that
did
out
you
of the
say
scope
we're
of the
dead?
remodel.
I'm just curious about your comment of we're dead. Why are you dead?
Because we can't,
The contractor has an opening and is scheduled to start in November.
so we can't get all this done. If we have to get it, so we're gonna put a bed, it's a one bed, it's a studio right now, so we're gonna make it a one bedroom like everybody else says. We're gonna remodel the bathroom, carpet, paint, tiles. So
No
we're not-
structural.
we're not moving anything except for taking out the tub and putting a walk-in shower.
So my question is, are permits required for any of that work? You can ask your contractor, we can ask our,
We have to have permits if we build the bedroom.
So are you building structural walls?
Yes, you have
That's
to.
structural, that might be.
Well, and not only that, you have to have it, I believe now, the new rule, unless there's,
Smoke detector.
a lot of smokes, and we can deal with that in advance.
Right.
But I believe for a bedroom, I don't remember why, you do need to get on a product permit.
Yeah, and you'll be adding or changing electrical wiring in that room too,
Because
so
you
that
have-
it definitely requires.
Because you have no window to.
So as long as we have to get a permit, then we have to come to talk.
the way the current policy reads, if it requires that kind of specialization, then it has to be monitored by the ARC.
And I believe where La Plata comes in, and this is not an architect, but I believe where La Plata comes in is we have no window from that bedroom for emergency exit in the event of a fire.
We're not gonna put a door.
Well, you can't, I mean, you physically can't put it by the way, so.
And we understand that.
Okay,
This-
so,
This is also gonna affect the sprinkler system. So.
Yeah.
That's another
There's
permitted
gonna have to
request.
be a
well, the way
permit.
this, we've looked at that and the way the sprinkler system works, it looks like we're okay.
Okay.
When in November, is he able to do it early? Early,
And so, I mean, we're meeting again next week and then October 29th, and then we were gonna start construction.
have a special board.
And so, and two, we're obviously new. So, so we're learning as we're going. So I guess now we better go back to the drawing board because now we're gonna be in the next year.
Not necessarily, we could try and do a workaround, but I would still suggest that we look at that pipe first and address the pipe. You guys work with your contractor's gonna have to work directly with me.
Right.
So just have him contact me and let me know what permits he's gonna have to pull so that I can come back and talk to the board, because we talk all the time. I can at least review it with them
Okay,
and see where we can land with it all. But if we
Okay.
can start a conversation, so we start this stuff going and he gets us all the drawings and everything, at least we're a step ahead.
I'd start working on the required documents now,
okay.
but I would
Got
also
all
get
that?
with maintenance about that leak.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's the most
Yeah,
important
they-
is the water.
Well, I'll go,
I'd open up that ceiling now and try
Yeah.
to determine the source of that leak.
okay.
I guess
And
I,
Okay.
you can always put an access, Bobby can put an access panel up there. So I mean, I cut holes in, I'm a contractor. I cut holes in walls and ceilings all the time. I just pop an access panel up there and then it won't be a big open hole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I'm sorry.
Oh, wait.
Thank you, thank you.
just make one thing. You will know the date of our November meeting
Tomorrow.
as of tomorrow.
Okay,
Maybe Monday is when it gets emailed out.
Well, yeah.
all right. Thanks, John.
It just has to be voted on in session.
It's good. It's tentatively gonna be like the week before Thanksgiving, so it's it's at least middle of November.
He has it basically my birthday weekend, so.
Oh, yeah, hey, that's.
Happy birthday to.
Yeah, so you guys all have to bring cake.
We all have to make our sacrifice.
I'll bring you a cake now.
Yes,
couple
you know,
weeks.
yes, cake. I don't drink. Cake is always a good thing to
Okay.
bribe me with.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Yes, I know that the logistics of distributing the keys,
Just speak up.
the logistics of distributing the keys for the new lock system, how will that be done? Especially since a lot of us aren't there full time.
They're gonna be taken to the office. Every owner's keys are gonna be taken to the office, and then the owner, when they come to property, will sign out for them.
And you'll
They'll
have two
pick
keys.
them up and sign that you have picked up your keys.
Do we have to let them know in advance when we're coming so that they're ready?
They'll
Well,
be at the front desk.
Yeah, they just, they'll just be at the,
They won't be at the front desk. They'll be
Gary's.
at my desk.
Gary.
And we've got lock boxes.
in the business office. So you have to come during business hours.
Okay, that's important.
Gary, I assume you discussed with any new owners the lock options, the keypad versus deadbolt and all that.
Yeah.
So come during business hours or make arrangements. I know in some cases, people will be having their property managers pick up the key. If you do short-term rentals and you're not gonna be here for 6 months, but you have rentals who are gonna come in and out, your property manager will come pick up the key. So, but they will be available for pickup in the business office during business hours.
And Gary is only in the business office Monday through Thursday. We let him have one day of rest.
Of golf, winning. Rest means golf.
Come November 1st, who knows what that means?
That's true. Gary can't golf in the winter, so he'll be there at your disposal.
Gary probably already has this already on the website, which is a lot of great information. The master schedule.
Keep going.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that the master project schedules for the roofing project, I can find it on the website.
There is a tab that says roofing projects, go to that, and then it's split between the lodge, which is done. And then High Point, Gamble Oak, High Point, Pine Cone, Gamble Oak. Gamble Oak is down at the bottom. And I sent out an email that you obviously didn't get because I sent it out before I had your email address
Right.
about what they're doing right now, but that will be updated.
Okay. So either you can push that email to me or I can find it on the website. I just want to have the dance. I can read the project schedule, so I can just go through it and take a look at it.
Yep.
Get it, that's what it-
Any more?
Rick,
He's
do
already
you have any
answered before.
questions?
Yeah, we talked before. How about Laura? Laura, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I'm excited for the locks to get in. I'm in the lodge, so it's great. And we'll be having the VRC company manage short-term rentals coming in and out of our unit. So we have the keypad going in, which will be helpful. No, we
Great.
bought a really beautifully remodeled unit, which is fantastic. So I assume that everything was done correctly with all of the permits, and we just love coming up there. I'm in a very different time zone, so I apologize that I'm not there right now, and we're looking forward to spending a lot of our time up there.
We're looking forward to meeting you when you come up next.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, if we don't have any more questions, we'll conclude. We do have a board meeting at 10. If you can't attend the meeting, all board meetings are recorded and posted on the website. We encourage people to attend or to watch and stay up to date because we have a lot going on with the property. And the more informed you are, the better. And
you.
thank you so much for
And
coming.
Lisa and Gary, thank you very much. You guys have been very, very helpful.
Thank you. We're all set?
Thanks for attending. Bye, Laura. Nice to meet you.
Longhorns, they look pretty good.